Hello. Now we're going to learn about how to read rhythm. So, rhythm, in my mind, is the most important part about music. We have to have really good rhythm to make it effective. So, reading rhythm can be very helpful. So even if you don't plan to read music to the point where you're an advanced music reader, I would really recommend that you learn a little bit about how to read rhythms, because for me this was such an important thing. I learned how to conceptualize rhythms. These little written symbols gave me a way to visualize them, and then when I'm trying to imagine rhythms, I have a much stronger grasp of them. So even away from the page, this knowledge has really, really helped me. So this goes back to counting. So in our counting lesson, we learned how we just count over and over again, usually to 4. Okay? And now, every time I count to 4, that's called one measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. When I started counting that 1 that second time, that would be in a different measure, and we would have a bar line separating those two measures in our written music, and that would mean that one measure is over, we've counted to 4 once, and a new measure has begun, and we're going to count to 4 again, okay? And now we have different symbols, and we can actually do different things in that 4 count. So the first one is called a whole note, and that takes the whole measure. So if I have a whole note and I write that in my first measure, that is going to be the only pitch that I'll get to play. Let's say it's a note A. Let's say I have that pitch A written in my music, and the symbol used to indicate that A is a whole note. That means I'm going to play it for 4 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that A was ringing the entire duration of me counting all 4 of those beats. So that's a whole note. That one note got the whole measure. Okay, now we get into dividing it up more and more. So what comes after a whole? A half, right? 2 halves, more specifically. We could fit 2 half notes in one measure now. So I'm going to do that with an A note again. Let's say I had an A note and it was actually a half note was indicated on this pitch. Well, that would only give me 2. So now I'm looking for something else in this measure. This is not going to take up the whole measure. I know we have a missing 2 beats. Okay, so let's say we have an A and then we have another A. Okay, so I'll play the first A for 2 beats, beats 1 and 2, and then I will play the pitch again for another 2 beats on beats 3 and 4. Let's hear how that sounds. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Those are half notes. They get half of the measure each. Okay, now if we were to split that again, the next one we would come to are called quarter notes. And that's actually typically the same as our pulse that we learned about in our counting lesson. 1, 2, 3, 4. Each one of those is a beat or a quarter note. So that means I'm going to play, in this case, the pitch A on my open A string. I'm going to play that on each beat. So 4 times for the measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that would be on each beat. Those are our main types of rhythms. We can actually do a lot more rhythms as well, but then we would have to split up the individual beat. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are called quarter notes because there are 4 of them in each measure, just like there are 4 quarters in a dollar. So if I wanted to split that up, I would get eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. If I split that up again, I would get 16th notes. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. Okay? And we could kind of keep going with that. But that gets a little bit more advanced. The point of this lesson isn't to just jump into all of the different rhythmic possibilities we have, but rather to acquaint you with some of the different symbols that we use and how to relate our counting exercises and how we can do that with rhythms, and also learn what these symbols look like when we see them written in our sheet music. Okay, well, thanks for joining me for that lesson on reading rhythms. I hope you enjoyed that, and I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson.